Cheers everyone. Welcome back to another video. And in this video today, I'm going to present to you my neuroscience-backed approach to manifesting. And this video is going to cover the neuroscience, it's going to cover psychology, and it's going to cover evidence-based techniques that you can use to ensure that you are getting results with this. A lot of people in the spiritual community, the manifestation space, preach these kinds of things and like these ideas such as feel it real and live in the end and live in the wish fulfilled. And those are all nice sentiments and they sound nice. They do sound good. Phrases that Neville Goddard has used, phrases that you hear on the internet. The thing is that when you're learning anything, it's very vital to learn a technique. You know, when you're learning tennis, for example, the first thing you have to do is learn how you grip the racket. That is the very first thing that you're going to learn when you go to a coach, when you begin to learn how to play. If you begin playing tennis and you are gripping the racket incorrectly, now you've set yourself up for a lot of stumbling blocks and hurdles. Even if you have some initial success, you're not going to get to a high level unless you fix it's like a building block, right? We're building this tower and you need to lay the groundwork and strong foundations and strong fundamentals before you can achieve a high level of proficiency in whatever it is that you're doing. So the same thing could be said for if you're going to learn boxing, right? You're going to want to learn how to keep your feet, right? Your footwork is an important part. And if you're just swinging your arms, it's again, there's many areas in life, and you can see this all around. When we're learning how to ride a bike, we use training wheels, right? So what I'm proposing here is that we use science, we use an evidence-based, technique-focused-based way of doing this. And again, if you are somebody that just likes to kind of have your own approach and that's working for you, by all means, you can click away from this video. But for everybody that wants to learn something that is, again, based in the science, that's who this video is for. So the first thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to the neuroscience is the RAS. What is the RAS? The RAS is what is called the reticular activating system. And it's basically a bundle of neurons that exist in our brain that it plays a role in wakefulness, attention, and basically filtering information. And the human brain is there's so much stimulus going on all the time that if we were to literally take in everything all the time, we would be completely overstimulated and we wouldn't be able to focus, we wouldn't be able to do anything. So that's what this does. It's essentially filtering. You can think of it also as like the liver, right? The liver filters out the toxic stuff so that we have our nutrients without taking in the toxicity, essentially so that we focus on what's important. So the way that this works in a practical sense is the RAS tags what is relevant information. That's why when we're at a party and there's all kinds of noise and people are talking and the music's going and stuff, but somebody says our name, we hear it. Why is it that we hear our name out of all the loud noise? Because our RAS has tagged this as relevant to us. So if somebody was to say Alex in the middle of the street or in the middle of a loud intersection or at a party, I'm going to hear that name. I'm going to turn around and see if they're talking to me. And the same thing goes for anything that our RAS tags. Now, what determines whether it's relevant? Well, that is based on your awareness, based on your focus. So if you begin to think about a certain brand of car, let's say a Porsche Macan, right? You've been paying attention to this. You've been looking at them on the road, or you looked them up online, and you've decided that you want to get this car, or that you like this car, and that your RAS is going to tag it because you've been paying more attention to it. What you'll notice is that on the road, as you're driving, you're going to begin to notice these cars. It's going to seem like, wait, where did all these Porsche Macans come from? Well, they've always been there, but it's just that you are now, your RAS is filtering the information, and it looks like they're popping up everywhere. And, it may actually be true that there may actually be some truth to that as well, that as we observe reality, the quantum physics aspect of it, which I'm not going to get into this video, says that once we observe reality, we begin to influence reality. But as far as this goes with the actual proven neuroscience, what you focus on grows. And this is the same reason that people who are focused on negativity in their lives, or people who are focused on negative relationships, that they can't ever find somebody that's positive, they keep on attracting those same people that fulfill that same role. So they'll be in and out of relationships, and you'll notice this with people in your life, and it may even be yourself. But they'll move from relationship to relationship, but they keep on finding the same type of person, the same person that fulfills that role without anything ever really changing. They'll keep on moving, right? It's like a movie. And these people, they're fulfilling the same archetypical role in the movie, in the script. Now, as I'm going through this, by the way, I'm looking at my notes here. These are actually not my notes. This is my book, which if you're interested in the book, the link is in the description. But as we continue here, the more that you focus on, you can see this all around you, right? The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. They say success begets success, right? Nothing succeeds like success. And that is, and on an energetic level as well, momentum, right? The more wins that you stack, there's something called the winner effect. The more that you focus on winning, the more that you see yourself winning, the more the evidence that you stack that you are a winner, or that you are somebody that says that does what you say you're going to do, the more integrity that you are building with yourself, the more trust that you have in yourself. And this is also something that Nathaniel Branden talks about in the 6 pillars of self-esteem. This is one of the most effective ways to build that trust in yourself, and to build this trust not only in yourself, but in your reality, that you have the ability to influence reality, that you're able to get what you want in life because you've done what you said you're going to do, right? And again, this could go for anything. It could be for your tennis, like I mentioned, boxing. It could be for something as simple as doing your affirmation practice, that you show up and continue to do this every single day. So once something's been focused on long enough, now this is the reason that robotic affirmations work, right? When you begin to focus on something, even if you are not initially feeling it, you're not feeling it real, you're not embodying the end or whatever, as long as you are focused, just much like the Porsche Macan example, as soon as you begin to focus on it, you're going to start noticing it. So as soon as you begin to use these positive affirmations to yourself, and again, I've got the best affirmations that I've found over years of working on this in my book, but let's just use an example. Everybody loves me, right? It's one of my favorite go-to meta affirmations. And I talk about this a lot in the book. I talk about why it works. But the reason that it works is because if you begin to focus on this, if you begin to dwell on this idea, regardless of whether it feels real to you or not in the moment, now you begin to see, because we're always using these different lenses. I've used this example before. Before you had on lenses that were saying, oh, people don't like me. People think that I'm not that smart. Maybe it's people have this idea of me that I'm shy, right? And so you're beginning to notice everything that backs up that claim, because if you are looking for something, you're going to find it. That's essentially what this is getting at, right? But you switch those out, you put on the different glasses now. And these glasses are telling you everybody loves me. Now you're going to notice all the little things that maybe somebody said something, but they were just joking. Or maybe somebody said a compliment that before you thought they were making fun of you, right? You thought they were being sarcastic. But now you have these new frames on. Now you're saying, wait a second, they actually genuinely did give me that compliment. A lot of people that are not used to taking compliments, for example, they'll shy away from them. They'll kind of engage in sort of self-effacing behavior that says like, yo, or no, that's not true, or whatever. You'll begin to accept the compliment. You'll begin to actually thank people and be like, yeah, thanks for noticing, You carry a different energy because what you focused on is guiding what you notice and what you observe. So when we engage in this practice, it becomes embedded into the subconscious. That, for example, that belief that everybody loves me. Once you repeat it enough, it becomes embedded. It's like a riverbed, and it's like something that's flowing over the river. It's flowed enough times. The current has flowed over those rocks enough times. That's why you see those rocks that have the weathered rocks, and you see the way that the water has gone, right? Because it flows so many times that it carves a new path. And that's what's happening when a new belief is being imprinted. It takes root and it becomes a belief. By going over these affirmations with this repetitive nature, making them automatic, you are changing your internal narrative and literally creating new positive neural networks in the brain, replacing old ones. Now, the mind and body are also connected. So this begins a feedback loop, and thoughts and feelings are a feedback loop. So the more that you dwell into the state, the more evidence that you see of it, the more that you're going to begin to feel like everybody loves you, the more that you're going to see results of it, and it's a cycle, it's a feedback loop. Many modern day therapies such as CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, get amazing results by using some of these practices. They use affirmations because they are so effective in this cognitive restructuring that we're talking about, or changing negative or unhelpful thought patterns into positive ones. By engaging in this, you are altering your self-concept, altering your beliefs, which leads to improved self-esteem and a more optimistic outlook. Eventually, your baseline state, rather than being so focused and paranoid all the time, paranoid that somebody said something about you, paranoid that this isn't going to work out for you, which is paranoia, it changes into what's called pronoia, which is the positive expectation that things are actually working in your favor, that people actually like you, that people actually are seeing the positive things about you, and that life itself is reflecting those positive things, and that you are getting positivity as a reflection back in your life. By seeing the good in things, in circumstances, and in people and circumstances see the good in you. That may sound a little bit confusing, but essentially another thing they've done is they've done studies on popular people, and popular people that are the most well-liked, using this example again, that everybody loves you, are the ones that are actually genuinely interested and genuinely like other people. So again, this type of theme that the reality mirror, the mirror of reality will not smile until you smile. You begin to put out and focus and dwell on these different thoughts. Reality will then reflect that back to you. And this is being proven, again, by science, by the neuroscience here. Now, to continue on, the amygdala, which is the fight or flight aspect of the brain that's involved in the stress response, the part that, when we perceive a threat, right? We're out in the wilderness, our ancestors, this was very useful back at that time. But using these positive statements, using these affirmations with ourselves has been scientifically shown to lower the stress response, to lower the stress levels, promoting a sense of calm and well-being, and literally reducing the stress hormone of cortisol in the body. Now, by engaging in the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational and decision-making part of the brain, the use of conscious affirmations can help override the automatic negative thoughts as well. So that's another benefit, is that when our fight or flight part of the brain kicks on, the crocodile brain, people have different names for this, right? We begin to hit it with these positive affirmations, which is like, I'm calm and relaxed, or you could think that things are actually going to work out fine, or there's different hacks you can use to this, and I have all these hacks illustrated in my book. But to give you an example, it's like, how is this actually serving me? How can I use this? That's one example you could use. But essentially, you're going to take back control over the narrative of this threat, of a perceived threat, right? Again, it could be that you're having an interaction with somebody and they're getting triggered, and they're actually about to trigger you. But what happens is that by repeating these affirmations consistently or robotically, you reclaim control over your focus. And another technique you can use is to label the emotion itself, to say, okay, I'm getting a little bit triggered right now. I'm actually experiencing some anxiety right now, or I'm experiencing some anger right now. That immediately distances yourself from the emotion, because if you take on the emotion, you allow the emotion to take hold of you, now you've allowed that state that Neville Goddard talks about to occupy you, rather than you choosing what state you're occupying. So in neuro-linguistic programming, there's another technique called modeling, which is very much like acting as if, that Neville talks about. And this is also like method acting, right? It's really being that version of yourself, being and embodying that calm person. If you tell yourself that I'm calm in every single situation, nothing is able to move me off center. I'm always stoic. I always remain in control of my emotions. You're going to begin to, again, the same way that we've observed how this works with the Porsche Macan, or how it works when you notice that people like you. You're going to begin to notice, and you're going to begin to pick up on things that are relevant. Oh, look at all these times in the past that I've actually been the voice of reason. All these times in the past that I've been the one who was able to, it could have been that your friends were arguing. It could have been any sort of thing, any sort of threat, disaster. Maybe the car broke down, but you were able to get it resolved. You were able to get it handled. And so your RAS is going to pick up on all these things and assimilate this, turn these into beliefs that are going to guide you forward into the next situation. And you're going to realize, I am that resilient person. I am that calm person that even in the middle of a storm, I'm able to sail through and find dry land, right? So that's some of the benefits of this when it comes to the RAS. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is I began this with my plan, right? This is my plan. So knowing everything that we know about the RAS, we're going to want to stick to a schedule. Another thing, like I talked about with NLP and modeling and shifting your state, like Tony Robbins talks about, that's going to be very helpful for you is using the mirror. When you begin to use the mirror and you begin to speak to yourself in your eyes and look at yourself in the eyes, you're going to begin to take on these beliefs in a whole new way. It's another powerful way, because not only, as we discussed at the beginning, that the thoughts and feelings are a feedback loop, not only are you instructing yourself with these thoughts, but you're getting your body language involved. You're getting your body involved. Now, the body is the subconscious mind. So when you begin to get your body involved, now you are now having direct communication. And this is another reason why method acting and modeling and all these things that I'm talking about, acting as if, is so powerful. Because if you begin to say this to yourself, and you look at yourself and you realize and you affirm to yourself that your body language is in 100% alignment with the powerful person that you are, with that calm person that you are, with that resilient person that you are now instructing the body to follow your will. You are instructing the body to take cue from your affirmations, from what you are declaring into being. Again, in my book, I go into this, how you can declare things. And you're not asking, you're not praying, you're not hoping, you're not wishing. You are now taking the helm of the ship. You're taking back getting back in the driver's seat of your mental internal narrative that's going on here. And you are telling yourself that you are this version of yourself, but your body is in alignment with it as well. That's the power of working with the mirror. Instructing yourself, looking into your own eyes. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul. And I found this to be true, that when you begin to speak to yourself in this manner and you get the body involved, you're going to supercharge your results. Now, going back to the RAS, crafting this, what is called a definite chief aim in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, is also a very, very powerful process. And I've used this process myself before, as have many celebrities. But what I'm going to present to you right now is a little tweak in the process, which is to say, and let me pull it up right here. So we're going to engage in a technique that is, you're writing a letter to yourself from the future, right? The future you that has all your desires. So I'm just going to give you an example here. If you want more information on this, I'd recommend checking out Life by Lucy's channel. She breaks this method down in a lot of clarity, but essentially, you're going to write this letter to yourself that you're going to want to pick the top 3 things that you want. So it could be in the realm of, let's say, health and fitness, then money and career, and then relationships, for example, right? So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to decide what type of outcome you want in this area. Now, for just using this for example, I'm going to use the example of making money, the money and career example, right? So the thing that I would write here, and I've actually used this already, so this is what I personally wrote down, was that everything I post on social media is going viral to an amazing, supportive, admiring, and loyal audience. I feel so safe expressing myself to my open-minded and free-thinking audience, and feel so accomplished at having my 100,000 subscriber YouTube plaque on my wall. So now I also go into, I'm so grateful and at peace with the fact that I am making X amount of money per month from my creative work, and it feels completely natural to me that this is my life. Now, why did I use this type of language, right? Well, part of it is that we want to normalize our goals. And so getting specific is, again, very helpful with this, because I want to imagine that, for example, if I have any sort of fear of expressing myself and not feeling safe doing so, I want to address that. And that's what I've done here. So I feel like safe because a lot of content creators and a lot of people that are in the public eye, nobody is immune to this, but a lot of people have this kind of thing where, people, of course, once you're posting more, people leave hating comments, people leave, there's always somebody that has something negative to say, right? There's always a lot of judgment. There's a lot of judgmental people that come out of the woodwork. That's just unfortunately the way life is. Anytime you're doing anything, anytime you are a person of action in this life that's on the field of life instead of sitting on the sidelines, you're going to get those armchair critics that always have some negative thing to say. It's not even constructive criticism. It's just pure negativity, right? But I'm just allowing myself to kind of become at peace with this by saying, yeah, I feel safe expressing my mind, that I have an open and free thinking audience, because I want my audience to be dynamic in thought, to be open-minded to different ideas, to not be so dogmatically attached to one way of thinking, right? Because I'm always getting new information, and I'm always sharing new information, because I'm a dynamic person. I'm always learning new things, and that's the type of audience that I want as well. So, and then I'm at peace with the fact that I'm making this amount of money, right? A lot of people, they don't feel safe making a large amount of money. They don't feel like they deserve it, right? And so it's just ways to address these beliefs. So that's the thing, that's what you're gonna do. Going, as far as the next step in the process. First, we talked about the RAS. We moved on to the mirror technique. Now we're doing the definite chief aim. And now we are going to create what is called an anti-vision. Now, this is also something that science backs up. They've done a lot of research on this, and it's all well and good. The first thing you want to do, like we talked about, is craft your vision. But once you've crafted your vision, the thing that makes you actually take action, actually stick to the plan, actually embody this and continue it and do it with consistency and discipline, like we talked about, is to see what's going to happen if you don't do this. And the human being, for whatever reason, this is the way that we've evolved, right? So we might as well leverage it to our advantage. We are more motivated by the fear of loss than the potential for gain. So in this case, I could go on and give you guys examples about this. Like when I was doing sales and selling people home automation and alarm systems, one of the things that we would talk about is, the security of the home. Like, do the people actually feel secure in the home? Because at the time, there was alarms that would go off when your door got broken into. But if somebody was to break a window, the alarm wouldn't go off, right? So we talk about, when you're not at the house, how do you feel knowing that, right? And that's why we had these glass break detectors. But it's basically addressing as a tool for influence. You can use the fear of loss. That's why, people, this happens in gambling all the time too, right? People at the casino table, they keep winning and they don't even really appreciate the winnings or the wins. So they keep winning until they lose. But then when they lose, they have this huge emotional spike really in their emotions, right? Because the fear of loss is more powerful. And marketers know this, salespeople know this. So this has been a tool that people have used for a long time, but you can use this to leverage it on yourself by saying, what is it that's going to happen if I stay the same? If I put this timeline out for 1 year, 2 year, 10 years, 20 years out, and I don't change any of these things, and you look at the results other people are getting in your life, in their lives. Dan Coe talks about looking at the masses and realizing how scary that is when you realize the results that people get and how kind of full of shit a lot of people are, to be honest, when they say, yeah, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna do this, but you meet them, 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and they're still stuck in the same place, if not worse, because there's no real such thing as stagnation in the universe. There's that whole meme online about still water, but if you're not growing, you're shrinking. And so Tony Robbins also has an exercise, which is like, imagine that you're 80, 85 years old, right? And you're in your rocking chair and you're looking back at your life and you imagine this life where you never went for any of your goals. You never did any of the things that you wanted. How are you going to feel? And it's painting this picture. It's coming up with this, it's really feeling and really getting in touch with how painful that would be to not actually go for what you want in this lifetime, to not actually go for your goals, to always pick the easy path of least resistance and not be that person who does what you say you're going to do, not be that person who's in alignment with what you claim to be in alignment with. So that's the last thing that's going to really leverage this. There's a lot of science that backs this up, that if you purely focus on what you want, it's good, but it can also give you all that dopamine ahead of time. It's similar to when you tell people your goals. And that's why you see a lot of people that go around and they're all talk. That's why, is because you're actually getting dopamine hits by sharing your goals with people. And then you'll notice that these people don't actually fulfill their goals. They don't actually do anything because they've already gotten the dopamine by sharing their goals. So that's another thing that you want to pay attention to, is kind of like go and tell no man, as Neville Goddard would say. So you should keep your goals to yourself, but you do this, you go through this method that I've outlined here for you. And as you begin to craft this anti-vision, as you really get in touch with that fear of loss, and there's other videos you can check out on this if you really want, I'd recommend Tony Robbins' approach to this, where he, like I said, you could probably find it if you search for it, the Tony Robbins anti-vision exercise. Getting in touch with that fear of loss is going to actually light that fire under you to say, hey, look, I really am going to do this. I'm not going to just let 2025 be another carbon copy of 2024 and the year before that. I'm actually going to make a change right now. So that brings us to the last thing, which is action. Albert Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again while expecting a different result. So if you, again, going back to the beginning of this video, if you're happy with the results you're getting, then you should continue that. But if you're not satisfied with the results you're getting, if things aren't actually going in the direction that you want, and you know this deep down, you're your own best barometer of this. If things really are going in a positive direction for you, if you're not happy with the current trajectory that you are on, then you're gonna want to do something different, right? You're gonna want to have a change. And it's important to realize as well that this is an ongoing process. A lot of these people that tell you, yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I saw this guru posting this video earlier talking about, how to manifest your dream life without having to do anything, without having to do any processes, without having to do any methods, without having to do any belief work or anything at all. And she's pitching this course, and it's like, I'm not, if that works for her, that's fine, okay? I'm not here to kind of talk down about anybody, but I do want to just put this out there that I see a lot of people, there's a lot of people that are very scammy in all kinds of industries, but especially in this community, there's so many people that just want to get told, like, people know, there's that famous saying, like, help them throw rocks at their enemies, and I want to look this up because this is actually very applicable to what we're talking about right now. Encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help them throw rocks at their enemies. Now, it's the rest of this quote is something like, people will do anything for somebody that does this, right? But the way that I want to just end this video is just, if somebody's doing this, if somebody's just purely telling you what you want to hear, it's kind of like the helicopter parents that you see, like, oh yeah, baby, like everything you do is perfect. You're my ray of sunshine. You could never do any wrong. There's a time and place for that in life. There's a time and place for appreciating yourself. There's a time and place for, and that's all well and good. We can do that with our affirmations. But at the same time, having mastery of life necessitates being able to look at things from one end of the spectrum and another end of the spectrum. And at the same time as you want to believe that there's no reason you're not good enough, right? There's no reason you're not enough. There's no reason that you aren't as worthy as any of these other people. And that's all well and true. It's also true that if you continue on the same path that has gotten you where you are, you're going to keep going in that same direction. So if you want a change, you have to acknowledge, look, maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I do need to engage in these techniques and these processes. And maybe just listening to all this airy-fairy stuff that people keep telling me, like, oh yeah, just, enter your rich girl era by just believing it, and just very, very fluffy type of like things that don't actually have any substance behind them. Maybe maybe it's time to actually realize, just like with all these other things that I've talked about, if I go to a tennis coach and he tells me, hey, yeah, just hit the ball, like just believe it, just know that or it's the same dating advice. It's like, just be yourself. But if yourself has not been getting the results that you want, maybe at a certain point you need to start realizing, okay, well, maybe I need to learn what I don't know. Maybe I need to engage with these specific techniques, with these specific practices, right? So in the context of boxing, I need to learn how to keep my arm up. Otherwise, I'm going to get knocked in the face. In the context of tennis, I need to learn how to grip the racket correctly, or else I'm never going to be able to compete with anybody at any sort of real level. And just take into account that there are techniques that you can use. And that's what I've done with my book, is I've literally given every single technique, all of the best techniques that I have found to rewrite the programming, to rewrite your story so that you are now in alignment, but you're also taking action. You're not shying away from the action aspect of this, because by engaging with these techniques and by doing the mirror work and by focusing, and you can even use ChatGPT for this as well. You can say, okay, ChatGPT, this is my letter that I've written to myself, right? We talked about the definite chief aim letter earlier. What is it that I need to do on a daily basis to actually make this dream a reality? And begin to show up for yourself every single day. That is you becoming the version of yourself that can accomplish your dreams. That is you stepping into that version of yourself that makes this your best year yet. It's not just sitting on the couch and wishing and hoping for it, or embodying the feeling. That's all well and good. You can do that stuff. But I'm telling you from my own personal experience, from the people that I see online, everybody that I know that actually gets results. I mentioned Life by Lucy earlier. If you're interested in scripting and stuff, she's got some of the best content out there on that. Who else? Vadim Zealand. His approach to manifestation, I resonate with it more than Neville Goddard, because Neville Goddard's nice and it all sounds nice, again. But why is it that there's so many people making Neville Goddard interpretations and Neville Goddard videos and Neville Goddard communities on Reddit? Because a lot of it is just stuff that sounds nice, but he's not, and he does have techniques. But a lot of people aren't getting results with it. Why is it? I think it's because they've bought too much into this thinking that gets perpetuated in this community of just feel it real, just sit on the couch, just imagine what it's going to be like. Because again, if we look at the science aspect of this, it is important to get that vision. It is important to get those into that state. But you also have to look at what happens if you don't do it. Because the way that the human organism is, the unfortunate truth is that we tend to seek out comfort. We tend to seek comfortability. And if we don't have a fire lit under us, if we don't have this burning realization that, look, I'm going to be fucked unless I actually take action and do this stuff, then we're not going to do it. And that's been the same thing. It's been the same thing every experience that I've had. When I was doing sales, there were guys that would just sit on the couch and then just drink and smoke after work. Whereas me, I would go over my role plays. I would talk to my mentor. I would ask him, how can I get better at this skill? And that's what we need to do. Just mindset work, belief work, just becoming that new version of yourself is predicated on building skills. And the only way to build those skills is to actually do them. So if you get my book and you do the mirror work, you do this letter to yourself routine, and you begin to do the practices that I've outlined in my book, nobody else can really guarantee results, but I can guarantee that you are going to see changes. I can't guarantee any specific money or specific person. People that are guaranteeing these things, there's no way that anybody can guarantee that. But I can guarantee that you are going to start changing. And if you're not happy with your results right now, then, it's now or never really. How much longer are you going to prolong this wishful thinking and hoping? Or are you going to learn the techniques that allow you to step into this version that begins to declare, the version that begins to use what I call dominion thinking, so that you are now instructing. You're saying, I'm becoming more and more a cause of my reality. And you're not just saying that, but you're acting as if you're doing the work in the mirror to embody that version of yourself. And then you're also stepping in and showing up every day to do the actions that are in alignment with that. Because again, Lucy, she talks about aligned action. And that's what I believe as well. You're not always going to be inspired. When I wrote this book, I got this book done just recently. I wasn't inspired every single day. I'm not inspired every single day. but I take aligned action. I take an action that's in alignment with where it is that I want to be, with what it is that I see for my future, with the version of myself that I know that I can be. And that's what I want for you guys too. So that being said, I know it's drawn on a little bit longer. I wanted to cover every aspect of this, like I said, from the science. And I hope this video helps. I hope that this gives you something, really begins to light that fire underneath you to make these changes, because as we go into 2025, there's going to be a difference between the people that want to keep just doing the hoping type of manifesting versus the people that are actually taking charge of their reality. You're taking charge of your mindset. And my book gives you the tools to do that. If you're interested in the book, the link is in the description. And with that being said, guys, much love as always. Drop this video with a like, hit me with a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.